Alright, I'd like to discuss how to take relief from a cart path. We have cart paths throughout this whole golf complex, and I've played with a lot of players that, from my perspective, they should have known this rule first off, because you're going to get on one of these cart paths sooner or later. And unfortunately, most people do not understand how to take relief. The rule is 24-2, relief from an immovable obstruction. There's no penalty, but you must follow the procedure to be able to take this relief. Now, if your ball is more or less right in the center of a cart path, I would have to tell you that over 90% of the golfers think that they can go to either side of the cart path. Definitely not the case. The rule states that you must take the nearest point of relief to be able to take relief. And the one thing I would always caution anybody about is never pick a ball up until you know exactly what you're going to do with it. Very important. And in this case, you shouldn't pick that ball up until you have measured to which side you must go. That would be a penalty if you didn't do that. Now, in this case, the way that you must find the nearest point is to use the club you'd most likely use. So if I'm going towards this pin over here, I have to use the club that I would most likely use to get there. Now, if I'm over 200 yards away, you could possibly be using the longest club in your bag if that's what you would most likely use. If you're only 60 yards away, it's going to be hard to make a case for a 3-wood, unless you're somebody who doesn't hit it very far. Well, we won't even go into that one. But anyway, when I go to take my relief, I must get off of the obstruction. Again, the cart path is deemed to be an immovable obstruction, and I put the club down at its nearest point where it's not hindered in any way by the obstruction. So once I put that club down and I take my stance, I would then take a tee and I would mark it right there where this club no longer is interfered with by the obstruction. So that's my first point. The second point is I come over here to the other side, and as I do that, I have to once again take relief. Now, relief is stance or swing. So I take my stance where I'm not impeded by the cart path, and once I take my stance, I put the club down, once again, the club that I would most likely use, and then I mark that spot. Now, I pace from that spot 1, 2, 3, maybe just a little more than 3 to get from there. Then I pace from here 1, 2. So it becomes quite obvious that I must drop the ball on this side. So what made the difference here was where I had to stand. On this side, my club doesn't have to be but a couple inches away from the cart path. Over here, my stance had to be off, and then my club had to be way over there. So you can see that even though the ball is in the middle of the path, that my relief is not going to be in either side. I must go to this side. So to be perfectly honest, I would almost have to be, depending on the situation, 2/3 of the way over to this side of the path for a right-handed player to be able to drop on that side. Now, you really need to think about this, because if there is a shrub bed right here, and this is my nearest point of relief, you might be better off playing from the cart path. Now, all our cart paths here at St. Andrews are free relief under 24-2, whether they're coquina or cement. Now, it might be a little rough shot coming off the cement, but even if you had to putt it from there, trying to roll it to somewhere up there near the flag or near the green, you might be better off than dropping it in the middle of a shrub bed that has no chance to hit the ball at all. So once again, always remember to make sure you know exactly what you're going to do with that ball before you touch it. Because once you pick that ball up, you are obliged to drop it at your nearest point of relief. And many times that could be in a place that is much worse than where your ball already is. So very critical stuff here. Now, when it comes to free relief, remember you're only going to get one club length. So now, once I have marked my spot, now I can pick up the longest club in my bag, totally within the rules, and now I'm allowed to measure from that spot over one club length, with obviously my driver being the longest club. I'd mark it with a T. Now, somewhere, anywhere behind my line here, in other words, my nearest point, I cannot go closer to the hole. So my nearest point will be from here, and what I have to do is I have to drop this ball. Now I can pick it up because I know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to drop this ball somewhere behind this imaginary line, one club length over, and I have to drop it shoulder height, arm's length. I can't drop it here, I can't drop it here, I can't throw it over my shoulder. It's shoulder height, arm's length. And believe it or not, I'm allowed to twist it, turn it, whatever I want to do. Perfectly within the rules now. But it must drop from shoulder height, arm's length. So, you might want to practice your drop someday. It might save you a lot of strokes. So that's how you get relief from a cart path. And here at St. Andrews, like I said, coquina, cement, it doesn't matter. As long as you first measure and you know where you have to take your ball. The second rule that I'd like to talk about today is relief from an unplayable lie. This is a very misunderstood rule, and there are three options to it.